Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, Daryl.
Good afternoon.
How you doing, Jim? How's everything where you are?
I'm doing fine, buddy. Got a busy day ahead of me.
Okay. Wow.
Are you where are you today?
I'm still in Texas.
Still in Texas? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't be coming back. I have to come back on the 18th for some appointments that I have, and then after that, if I have to come back, then I'll be coming back right after my appointments.
Are you guys enjoying the barbecue?
Believe it or not, I haven't. I've had. I went to two places since I've been here, and they're okay. But once I'm done, I want to go to it's called a Taste of Texas. I want to go check that place out once I'm done.
Well, you might have to break out the grill and show those folks how it's done in Dayton.
Yeah, well, we're gonna be doing that in October. So hopefully we'll get a chance to do it. But October we should be we're gonna do something for the residents here and ask the investors, do they want to come down and invite them down and see the property.
That's fantastic.
Hey, Alicia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I was wrapping up a call with my Washington broker. How's everyone doing?
All right.
Doing well. Thank you for asking. How's yourself?
Good. I'm excited for some football today. I got on my jersey.
You're up in your city.
I'm repping my son's school.
Oh, what's the name of the school?
Red Mountain.
Red Mountain?
They are
What's
the
their
Mountain
logo?
Lions.
Go Lions.
Mhm.
Yep, there you go.
Bring us a victory here at the GOB.
Yes.
So there you
He-
go, supporting.
He's
Hello, folks.
excited.
What's up, Jim? What's happening?
So what are we talking about today? I see Daryl's on live stream. Daryl, you don't have anybody showing that doesn't show their video.
Huh? Say what?
There you go, Raheem. So Billy and Thurman, if you want to be internet famous, you got to show your photo.
I'm sorry, I had a call come in.
So I don't have a guest for today. So we can do depending on how many people we have show up, we can pretty much have a mastermind and let everyone share what they're doing, what they're working on. Or if we want to, if you have something, Daryl, that you would like to cover, then we can do that. Mainly if we don't have anything, just try to let everyone get a little of what they need and what they want and need and what they're working on.
So I have a
Perfect.
question for you regarding the GOB Network Fund. How can more people, what's the process of having more people send their properties to be on the fund?
Well, there is absolutely no shortage of number of properties to look at, and we just have to evaluate them and see, is that a deal we want to raise capital for?
Okay.
And if we make the decision that it is,
For them to cut last week.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry, I got it.
yeah, if we make the decision that it is, then we move forward with it.
Okay.
And
All
it's
right.
just a matter of then getting a pitch deck put together, and there's a profile page, because it uses the PPM for the fund, but then each asset there's a little profile page that you put together for the asset.
Okay, awesome.
So can Joe Blow just submit a deal to the fund? Like, let's say he underwritten, put the numbers in the underwriting tool, and submit the deal. Is that how it work, or
No,
is it
no,
more?
we're looking at deals that are already under contract. And potentially, I mean, there are circumstances where it doesn't have to be under contract for experienced operators that have done a lot of deals, and the certainty of close is very, very high. Then we would entertain doing that. But if you've looked at the deal submission checklist that's on the Google Drive that Daryl and I worked on and put together last year, you really need to have at least that much stuff ready if you want to do deal submission. And that's not for the fund. That's just to have a deal looked at and evaluated, and to see if we can help garner some interest in it.
Got it.
Okay. And where would I find a deal submission tab that you and Daryl worked on? That's in the GOB file?
Yeah, it's on the GOB Network Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, but Raheem, check your files because you should already have it. Due to the fact that you were one of my coaching students, remember, there was a checklist that I gave you. It has to go through that checklist.
Okay.
If you can't find it, just let me know.
No, I could find it. I was just playing around with all the tabs the other day, going in and trying to redefine myself in multifamily.
Okay.
I tell you what might also be nice, Daryl, is to talk about scripts today, and maybe even have some folks share what they do on first contact. First contact, first call.
Well, that's an excellent conversation. How many of you here use a script? Well, how should I say? If you use a script, put a 1 in
I
script 1 in the chat.
Yeah, and I would define a script. It doesn't have to be written. If
Correct.
you kind of cover the same thing every time on your introductory phone calls, if you have that that pattern down that you always use, then you're really following a script. It's your own script, but you're following one.
Correct. Now, everyone that's in my coaching program, I expect to see a 1. I'm gonna be straight with y'all. I expect to see a 1 here because you have the information, you have every single thing that anything Jim talks about when it comes to raising capital, when it comes to these deals. If you don't put a 1 or whatever, that means you didn't do. You're not looking at what I'm coaching you on. You bypassing it. So everyone that's part of my coaching program, there should be a 1 in there.
So would anyone like to share what they do, or how they handle their introductory phone calls? Or does anyone have a question that they'd like to have answered, and maybe the group can help answer it?
I think we
Yes.
should do a round robin.
Yeah, I'm looking because I'm waiting to see if my coaching students are just not going to respond.
I'm in football mode. Let's go. Come on.
I'm putting them on blast.
Daryl, I
I
do
was
have a
gonna
question.
say, all right, that was Marcus. You can answer
No,
you can ask your
that was
question.
Billy. Billy
Next.
Miller.
That was Billy.
Oh, Billy.
That was Billy.
Go ahead, Billy. I'll be after you.
So I have a question. So how would I approach, basically there's a lot of California transplants moving here to Arkansas and they want to get into real estate. So I need help developing a script or how to explain what I do and trying to help them get on board, like being a passive investor or an active investor or something like that. A lot of people, they've sold their houses and now they're here and they have money, but they don't want to put in the stock or cryptocurrency, but they're interested in real estate. So I need to help developing a script to talk to them about what I do and how to put their money in some of the deals I'm working on or the GOB is working on.
So, give me 1 second, because I do have a script that may be able to help you. Give me 1 second.
And Billy, you basically said that'll help you communicate with others on what you're doing.
Yes.
Is that what you said?
Yes, on what I'm doing and how I can help them, basically be a part of what I'm doing if they want to put their money in real estate.
So while Daryl's looking that up, I have a question for you, because we want to make sure that it's not so cookie cutter, it's not stale, it's not something that someone else has used or said before, right? And so we want to look at why we got into this business. What's our ultimate goal? Then the person that we're talking to, we got to know what their ultimate goal is. Their ultimate goal to retire their mom in 1 year.
Right.
I'm saying that because it's an inside thing. Is it to retire their mom in 1 year? Well, if you know that, you tell them, I'm in this real estate business because I love it. I have a passion and a desire to help others secure real estate so that they don't have to work so hard. We have somebody that's in our group that's trying to retire his mom in 1 year. That's 12 months. So we're hitting the pavement hard. We're looking for people like yourself to get them energized and energetic to put their funds in an area that's going to grow. You literally can see your equity grow. Is that something that would interest you? Because we can talk more about it. That's how I would approach it. Now, it's taking me some time to get to that point, but
Alicia, I want to come back, but right now I don't want to take too much time, and we only have another 45 minutes. I'll find the scripts and stuff like that. But I think what Billy brought up is something that we should really discuss, right? Because he's talking about people that's transplanting from one state to another, and they don't have the slightest clue or idea what commercial multifamily is, or even what investing is in commercial real estate. Don't have the slightest clue. So what would you say would be, and everybody weigh in on this, because this is something that we all need to take a look at, dealing with people who do not have the knowledge or the education to be able to say, so look, I'm going to invest in this thing. I like what I'm hearing, stuff like that. What do you think that we should have more of an educational approach than pitch approach?
yes.
Let's discuss that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think educational approaches really well. And what I've been doing for right now is just sitting down and having lunch or coffee with them, finding out, what brought them here, what they're doing now, what their goals are, and kind of a little bit about what I do, not going too much so that I'm not overwhelming them and they're shut down like, I don't know about that. Maybe I should do something else. So I definitely an educational approach for sure.
Cool. So, and what do you think would be some of the initial educational things that we could bring to them to get them so that their mind will open up and not close? And everybody, listen, everyone weigh in.
For me, it's like fishing. You can't speak more from an educational standpoint than what you know about the individuals you're speaking with. So it's more of, and maybe if you give me an example of the approach. So let's take Dayton, for instance, right? So I'm communicating with them that there's an opportunity for an investment. I know that they know nothing about investing. So you have to give them an analogy in order for them to understand. And I think from the educational standpoint, you have to know what level they're on, and then know what part of the country they're in. Because when we were going through the capital raising for that, folks that, were in Kansas were different. We had to do a different approach from the ones that are in Florida versus the ones that are in Indiana and the ones that are in California. There's different things that each of those groups want to know. So we have to be a chameleon, so to speak, in order to give them the information that they need. So for those that understand single family, if we know that they understand single family, you can just say, well, this commercial property is just like a communication change. We talked about that earlier where they talked about sub 2. Well, we've done sub 2 for a single family, but we don't know how to do commercial. Well, sub 2 is just for another word of saying, syndication in commercial, or, doing a master lease of some sort in commercial. So I think from an education standpoint, we got to understand what they know.
Okay, so let's role play this. I'm from New York. Just sold my property. I relocated to where you are. I don't know nothing. So how are we gonna handle this?
What
got a bunch of
type
money.
of property did you sell?
I sold my 6,000 square foot house.
Okay. And then the property that I'm talking to him about, what type of property is that?
Commercial multifamily, I'm assuming.
Okay.
I don't know,
I wanted to
because
make sure. I wanted to
I
make
don't
sure.
know.
6,000 square feet. I'm like, wow, you got a lot of money to invest there.
You know,
6,000
listen,
square
hey, I'm brand spanking new,
Okay.
I'm
So
brand
you
spanking new.
sold-
I just sold my house.
Oh, you sold your house and not the office building.
No, I sold my
He said
house
a
up in
house,
New.
he said
Oh, he
6,000
said a
Yeah.
square
house, a
foot house.
6,000
Yeah.
square foot house.
Yeah,
Okay,
I sold
that's
my.
awesome. So
Yeah.
are you going through a 1031 exchange? So the when you close for your house, you're gonna roll that into the investment?
What's that?
Okay. Did you get a check already for the sale of your house?
Yeah, it's in the.
It's in the bank. Okay. Well, we can talk about 1031 exchange later on your next sale. We'll get you
Okay.
prepared for your next sale. But
Right.
for the money that's in the bank, how much of that do you have available for this investment that you're willing to put in? Because the buy-in is 50,000. Do you have 50,000 or more, or are you under that?
I have a whole lot of money.
You have a whole lot of money. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we have a property that's in Crosby, Texas. We need to raise 1.1 million.
Okay.
And we need 800,000 right now.
Okay.
Can you help us with that raise?
Well, I could definitely help you with that.
Okay.
But Miss Milton, I don't know you, and I don't know nothing about what.
Oh, you can't say you don't know me, because we passed that. We talking about the money aspect.
No. I'm
Okay,
brand
so we're
spanking
talking
new.
about from the top point of this.
I'm brand spanking new. I just sold
Okay.
my 6,000 square foot house
So
in New York
Daryl,
City, and I relocated in Arizona.
well, Mr. Murphy, how did you hear about me?
I was wait a minute, you know something? I was walking my dog, my Alaskan Husky, and I saw your sign outside. It was a billboard, and it said Alicia with real estate or something like that. I just figured I'd give you a call. Just,
Okay, so you saw my sign off of the street. Well, luckily, this is a 506C. Let's start with that first. We can market.
They don't know what that is either, Alicia. So you got to start from ground zero. I'm with Daryl on this one. You have to
That's
ask more questions
Yeah,
fine.
I
Let
in
me
know,
order
let
to
you
Lisa.
find
know.
out
You're
what's
too
going on.
advanced for us, Lisa. You're too
Right.
advanced for us. Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
break
Let
it
me
back
break it
down
down
to
even further.
Yeah,
So
I can't give
usually,
you my
y'all,
money.
Okay,
I
so
can't give you my money.
okay, so okay,
Yeah.
hold on a minute, because okay, so Alessandra.
you gotta unmute.
I'm here. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
yeah, okay, so Alessandra, you take the lead. I'm new to Arizona. I saw your picture on the billboard. I just figured I'd just give you a call and say hello. I got all this money sitting in the bank. I just sold 6,000 square foot house and I relocated to Arizona.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm so glad that you have decided to come move to our wonderful state. So tell me, what are you interested in purchasing right now?
Well, since I'm new, I don't quite know what to, I don't know what to, what to look for or what to like, what should I do?
Okay. Okay, so let me
I
ask
know
you, have you?
I know one thing for sure. I know one thing for sure. I don't want to put my money in the stock market because it's too risky and I could lose it. And I'd rather put in something that's a little risk, but at least I could try to get something.
Okay, I understand that. So let me ask you a couple of more questions. Have you purchased a house here, or are you living in an apartment to determine what it is that your next step is going to be?
Oh yeah, my wife and I, we purchased we sort of downsized a little bit and we purchased a 5,000 square foot home here in Arizona.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think that's very commendable. So did you pay cash for the house, and do you still have cash left over?
I was told by a friend that I shouldn't pay cash for a house. So I got like mortgage payments, but if I want to pay the house off, I could pay it off if I wanted to.
Okay. Okay. So will you still have money left over once you pay cash, once you pay off the mortgage?
If I wanted to pay off the mortgage, I could. I had plenty of cash left over.
Okay, fantastic. So let me ask you, have you ever invested in any type of property other than a single family home before?
No, never have.
Oh, so you brand spanking new to the investment side.
Yeah, yeah.
So here's a question for you. Is both of you are talking like brokers. You need an example as an investor.
Okay, wait a minute, Alicia. I haven't got to that point.
Yeah, but you're talking to him like a broker. When we approach these situations,
Hold on,
you gotta approach it as an investor.
Hold on, let me get to where I'm going.
Okay.
Because you know what? I've learned that if I come from that perspective, I can break down some walls sometimes in doing and finding out what it is that I need to know. So this is a conversation that you have to ask a gazillion questions to get to where you need to get to. You just don't up and go, you started in and jumped in, and I'm sitting back taking a more relaxed approach because I need to know where this person,
but that
where
was
this
with
person
the
has come from.
information. That was with the information he gave. However,
Right.
We're coming from a standpoint because we're training investors. So we have to have them come from that standpoint as opposed to from a broker standpoint because they don't have that experience.
Gotcha. If somebody's putting something down, I'm on the phone getting ready to walk out the door. I can't read it. Yeah. I just saw something come through. And I don't have my glasses on, so I really can't see.
That's okay. Jim put a link in the chat. Jim, did you want to explain that one?
Yeah, so we're under the assumption here we're role playing a brand new investor, a brand new relationship. And whenever you're dealing with someone who you don't know their level of sophistication, you don't know their motivations, you don't know why they stopped to see you, you don't know what they actually want to do. And so instead of us trying to guess that, and you're right, Alessandro, it could lead to a million questions, but there's a theory that's used a lot in sales and psychology, where if you've ever seen a psychologist, they'll ask you, well, why do you feel that way? And you say, well, because I feel good. And they go, well, why does it make you feel good? And they ask 5 layers of why, and it just keeps drilling down and drilling down and drilling down, and really forcing you as the individual who came into my office. If we're using this example, Daryl walked into Alicia's office. Why he walked in there? Well, because I seen your sign. And what was it, that you wanted to find out? Why did you walk in? Well, because, I have an interest in buying some real estate, or because I have some money and I'm interested in investing, or, no matter what he says, the next question is still a why. And you just keep drilling down into the whys. And the beauty of that is that you let them guide the conversation, and you let them tell you what they want, and you let them decide where the conversation goes. And they feel like a lot of times it makes you feel uncomfortable because you are forced to answer questions that you may not have thought about, but it forces you to think about the answer you just gave and to identify it. If Daryl's just killing time because his wife's next door in the grocery store, then you'll get to that with 5 whys. It's like, I'm not going to buy anything. And yeah, I have money and I could invest it, but I'm not going to. But even if that were the reason, you're going to find out with those 5 whys some information about him. And you say, well, hey, next time your wife's buying groceries, stop and see me again. And let's pick up the conversation, because somewhere down the line, I may be able to benefit you. If you truly have an interest in this at all, if you'd like to double your money in 5 years, then come with your wife grocery shopping the next time. Come with her every time, and let's keep the conversation going. But you want to really focus on them and finding out what they want and why do they want it. And I think that, first time investors, if you want to accelerate the conversation and get them in a deal, last thing you want to start doing, in my mind, is start talking about asking them for money or asking them for a sale. The first time you meet them, you really just want to find out about them, and if you want to get to the sale the fastest, or to the investment the fastest, then find out what their level of sophistication is. Have you ever invested in anything? Well, no, I've never even bought a single family home. Boom. They know very little about the real estate and about this asset class. Okay. Have you ever invested in the stock market? Nope, never have. Again, really a newbie. Do you have a 401k? Oh yeah, I've got one of those. Well, do you direct where your money goes in the 401k, or did you just pick an index? Oh, I just picked an index. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't want to have to decide. I don't feel smart enough, sophisticated enough to make that decision. And if that's the case, then you're going to have to start with probably the 5 whys. And I would ask, well, why are you even interested in real estate at all? Are you interested because you are trying to find a place to make passive income, or you're interested, and I don't really want to give them those answers. I just want, why are you interested? But depending on which answer I get back might guide guide me through where I want to take them. But I would say, if you have somebody, even if they're not brand new, if they've never invested in real estate before, but maybe they're sophisticated, maybe they have invested in the stock market. And if they have, then I'm going to ask some other questions. Have you invested in options? Have you traded on margin? Because if they say yes to either of those, then I know they're really sophisticated investors. They have a lot more understanding and they can absorb a lot more quicker about the asset class. And they're more likely to ask you some tough questions, moving forward. So I want to really dig into their investment background, because if you look at the questionnaires on a lot of PPMs for sophisticated investor questionnaires, if you don't have one, there's, again, the Google Drive has some, or you can just Google sophisticated investor questionnaire and download 2 or 3 of them. They ask, 90% of them ask the same questions. And those are the questions you need to know and you need to ask. Don't wait until you have a PPM to put in front of them to know this information. Have that information in a conversation with someone and have it in your CRM, when you're talking to someone. So I might start with say, hey, if you're interested in learning more about what we do, and even if this is not true, you need to make it true. Let me get you on my newsletter or my blog. And instead of, you might, I would, whether you call it a newsletter or a blog, come up with something you can send them at least once a month. And you could start with, and Raheem and I were talking about this yesterday, the 5 whys or the 7 whys to invest in real estate. And that might be the first one you send out the first month. And if you want to follow up more often than monthly, then you can follow up and just say, hey, I'm just checking to see, did you get my newsletter? Did you get my blog? Oh yeah, I got it, Raheem. I haven't looked at it yet. Well, hey, when you do, if you have any questions, please ping me. Send me a text or email me back so that I can give you a little more information. And it gives you an opportunity to start the engagement. Okay, if they say no, I haven't read it, then you can say, well, or yes, I have read it. Then hey, did you have any questions? Was there anything there? No, I don't really have any questions. Was there anything that surprised you? And try to get better at asking open-ended questions. So any question that you ask that can be answered with a yes or no, there's a way to ask it so that it's not a yes or no. So I just ask a closed-end question. Okay. Did you have any questions about the newsletter? No or yes. Okay. So let's rephrase that question so that it's not a closed-end question. You could do it by changing just 1 or 2 words. What was in the newsletter that surprised you or that you didn't understand, or that you had to go look something up or wanted more explanation? That requires an answer. That's not a yes or no. Okay. If I ask, did you have any questions? Nope. Was there anything that surprised you? Nope. Just by changing to say, what surprised you? Well, they can still answer it as in nothing, but if they do, then I'm going to ask another open-ended question and I'll try to answer it so that they have to give me a bigger answer. And that's what the why question is. The why question is very open-ended, that makes them explore, the content of the question. Why did you open the newsletter? And they have to answer that with some kind of feedback, and just practice those questions. And if you're going to ask a question, write it down before you ask it, before you start having these phone calls, know 4 or 5 or 6 questions that you always want to ask. That's why we're talking about scripts, in a first-time investor script. I've already given you 4 or 5, 6, 7 questions that you could ask that could last for an hour, just the questions. Now, for me, on a first time, and depending on where that person comes from, depending on how they came into my CRM, that's going to guide, excuse me, I apologize. I always forget to turn my phone off before I get into a meeting. But depending on where they come from, that will guide the kind of question. So if I get them from a LinkedIn post that I made about commercial real estate investing, then I may dive a lot faster into the specifics of real estate and investing or a particular asset, or where they are on the journey. But you need to know, just like a stockbroker, if you've ever dealt with a stockbroker, or if you've ever sat down and listened to a life insurance salesman, they are very, very good at trying to get you to build a story about your journey and where you want to go and what you've done to get to where you are. And so when a stockbroker, they have a fiduciary responsibility to find out what your risk tolerance is, what your investment background is, and the types of investments you want to make and what you've made in the past. Not, I've got an MBA in finance. Okay, so you're a sophisticated person. Yeah, but I've never invested in anything. So, okay, that's going to mitigate the first one. Or yeah, I've invested over the last year and I lost every penny that I invested. Okay. How do you feel about that? What have you done that caused you to, what do you think caused that to happen? You may want to find out a lot about a situation like that, because they may be saying they're risk averse and everything they invested in was nothing but high-tech startups that all of them fail, which, for a fact that most businesses don't last 5 years. And, and when you get into tech, a lot of them don't last 5 months, so you want to try to get to know where that person's coming from. But if there's somebody in my family circle that I've met through another family member, or somebody that I met at the gym, or somebody that I met in the grocery store, or, somewhere out in the wild, that I don't know them, they don't know me, they don't know what I do. I just want to get to know them. So my script is, I want to find out your life story in about 15 minutes. So what I want to know, and I'll share the same thing with you, but I want to know where you were born and raised, and what was your family life like? Did you have brothers and sisters? What did mom and dad do? Where did you go to school? How much education did you have? And what has your W-2 job life looked like? And if I know they're interested in real estate, then the last question is, why are we talking about real estate? What brought you to be interested in real estate? And I want it to be in that order. And when they start talking to me, if they take it out of order, I go, yeah, I understand that, but I'm more interested in knowing about your childhood. If they want to jump right into the investment and say, I want to get to know you a little bit first. So tell me, where were you born? How many brothers and sisters did you have? Where were you in the pecking order? What did mom and dad do for a living? Mom was a stay-at-home mom, and dad worked in the factory his whole life. So they're blue collar. That it's likely that they don't have a lot of investing background. Most blue collar folks don't. But you can delve into that a little bit. You can continue to ask probing questions about, well, did mom and dad, were they investors? Is that, how did you get interested? No, they weren't investors, but my uncle was. He owned houses, and I used to cut grass for him at the apartments. And, I would go with him when he would collect rent. So the reason I'm asking those questions, yes, I am interested in their life and their livelihood and how they grew up, but I'm more interested in their mindset. I'm more interested in finding out a little bit more about their why and where they came from and their motivations. And so that's what I want to know about everyone. You know, and if I want to know, you know, if they're married, do they have kids? How old are their kids? You know, when, how I might even want to know, how'd you meet your wife? When's your anniversary? How long have you been married? You know, the things that you would like to know about your best friend. Because ultimately, if you want to invest with them for a long period of time, you need to know as much or more about them than you know about your best friend. And I'll share the same thing with them. Now, on a second follow-up phone call, I've got a list of things that we can talk about now. Forever, I've got a list of things that we can talk about. But I will guide it back to a lot more of the focus. So when we get to the end of the conversation, and one of the reasons I don't want it to be at the front of the conversation, if you start talking about real estate and investing in a particular asset at the front of the conversation, you'll get very little, if any, of all the other stuff, because you will have kind of bypassed all of that and they won't ever really want to talk about it. Your first conversation with somebody is your best opportunity to get that information. And because a lot of people are more willing to share that on a first call than if you've known them now for a year or two. Some of those things get a little more personal and they're like, well, why are you asking me this now? You know, we've known each other for a year. Why are you asking about my credit report? You know, why are you asking about my net worth? Why are you asking about those conversations? Are easier to have if you've built a relationship on that kind of foundation in the beginning. But that's just me. Everyone has, you know, there is no right or wrong way to have a script, if you will. But you do, you know, it's a good idea to know how you're going to speak to someone. Now, that is a long, in-depth phone call. So what if you're actively raising for a deal right now? That's a very different script. And you've got 30 days, 45 days, or 2 weeks to raise the money. What kind of script do you want then? Anybody want to weigh in on that?
I'm assuming that with a conversation like that, you're still going to wind up, if they don't have any knowledge, but if you have the relationship already built, but they still not, I'm going to say not sophisticated, then you still going to have to come from a point of view that's going to wind up being educational. Now I'm assuming we already built the relationship, right?
Yeah,
So
if you're raising capital, then you need to, the first thing you need to know is, am I calling somebody that I already have built a relationship with? Right. And if you're calling somebody that's a cold call, and if it's me, Daryl, and Alicia on a deal, the very first thing I'm going to ask, if I know they're real estate investors, is do they have a relationship with either me, Daryl, or Alicia? And if they say no, then I'm not going to talk to them. I'm going to schedule a follow-up phone call. And if I've got 30 days to raise capital, my follow-up phone call is not going to be within the next 30 days because that's going to be a longer conversation. So I'm going to schedule a phone call with them and say, well, you know, I would love to get to know you and to share deals with you. But unfortunately, we don't have a relationship built already. So I can't invite you on this deal. But I can share the details of the deal with you so that you understand the types of deals that we're looking at. And I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to give you that information, but I can't let you invest in this deal. But we can build that relationship. You know, I can send you this information, and then do you happen to have your calendar open? Can you tell me, you know, do you have next month on the 5th open at 2 o'clock? Yeah, I do. Well, can we schedule something then to get to know each other a little bit more and to discuss your goals and what you're looking for and, you know, dig into the specifics about what you're trying to accomplish so that you can build that relationship. So automatically within the first 45 days, you'll already have 3 touches with them. And a lot of people will tell you after 3 touches, you can have people start to invest with you. I don't necessarily believe that. I believe you can do it after 1 touch if that one touch is detailed and in-depth enough. If I have a 2-hour conversation with you and I go from the date you were born to today and everything you've ever invested in, and I have an investment criteria, a sophisticated investor questionnaire that I've asked you all those questions and I have all the answers, and I know your investment experience and it's pretty strong. If I have that 2-hour phone call, that might be more than 3 or 4 touches, that other people might, have 3 or 4 or 5 touches and not even have an hour's worth of conversation with somebody and not really even know them. So I think that it's an ambivalent criteria as to the substantial relationship question that's asked for 506B investors to invest with you. So there's not a set black and white answer to that. But if you follow this kind of criteria right there, within 45 days, you're going to have both of those avenues covered. You're going to have talked to them for an extended period of time, and you've already had 3 touches. So you had the first touch, which was the initial phone call, where maybe they called you or somebody gave you their name and you called them. Either way, it was first time you spoke to them, okay? And by the way, if they're not going to invest in this deal, that conversation should never be more than 1 minute long. It should never be more than 1 minute long, because you are raising capital, and I would encourage you to keep it under 30 seconds. And you don't think that's a very long time? I can prove to you that 30 seconds is a long time in a conversation. Just ask somebody, and I'm not going to put any, I was going to put somebody on the spot, but ask somebody a very difficult question, point blank, and have them answer it and see how long 30 seconds seems. Okay? A long, long time. So I can give you an example. Daryl, let's you and I role play and pretend that we've never met and you don't know anybody on the team. So
Okay.
I call you and you pick up the phone. You say, "Hi, this is Daryl Murphy." I said, "Hey, Daryl, this is Jim Biggs. I'm with the GOB Network, and we're raising capital for a deal in Dayton, Ohio. And your name was given to me by Alicia Milton. Said that you might be interested in the deal. Alicia, I, and Marcus are on this deal together. And just first off, I need to find out, do you know any of us? Do you have a substantial relationship with any of us? Have you invested with any of us before?"
So Jim, you don't want me to have a relationship with them, correct?
Yeah.
You do?
Well,
Okay.
no,
So,
I
yeah,
don't want you to. I don't want you to.
okay, great. So no, Jim, no, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Alicia or any of them. Those names
Okay.
you called out.
That's fantastic. So I can't. So let me ask this question. Alicia said that you wanted to talk to me, and I didn't ask her why. Why did you want to talk to me about? Was it about this deal or was it about something else?
It was about that deal.
Okay. All right. Well, unfortunately, the SEC will not allow us to let you invest in this deal, on this particular deal, because you and I don't have a substantial relationship. Now, I can tell you what that means, and you don't have a substantial relationship with any of the other sponsors on the deal. But I can
Correct.
send you the information about the deal so that you can see the types of deals that we're investing in and get some education about that. And I can schedule a follow-up call for us to start to get to know each other. Does that sound okay?
Well, sure. That sounds great. That
Okay.
sounds great. Send me the information.
All righty. And so I need your email address. Can you give that to me?
Sure. It's Daryl at murphybannetgroup.com.
Fantastic. So I know his name, I have his email address, and he called me or I called him, so I have his phone number. And so now I'll just schedule a time. And I might not even schedule a time. I might say, Daryl, I'm going to send you my Calendly link. And if you can, just pick out a time that's convenient for you so that we can have a follow-up. Just make sure it's not within the next 30 days, because I am actively in a capital raise and I'm only taking capital raise calls for the next 30 days. And I probably don't need to say that, because if I'm smart, I set my Calendly already for investment calls only for the next 30 days. So if you don't have a Calendly, you can set up different types of calls in your calendar. You can have a 10-minute investor call. You could have a 30-minute get to know you call. You could have a 1 hour in-depth whatever call. And I might set my calendar and say, I'm only taking for the next 30 days, 10-minute investor calls. Now, that doesn't mean I can't extend that. It doesn't mean that I won't talk to someone longer. It means I've set an expectation that I'm going to have a conversation with you that, and it's not going to be 10 minutes. If you're not ready to invest in a deal, it's going to be 30 seconds to a minute, and that's it. Okay, and I'm getting off the phone. Now, if Daryl does want to invest and he does know someone, then I say, hey, Daryl, that's fantastic. Can I schedule a time later today or tomorrow that we can get together and talk more specifically about how much you want to invest? And this is if he's told me already, like he did, yeah, I'm interested in investing in that deal. Okay, so that's really all I wanted to find out. In that 30 seconds to 1 minute, all I really want to know is he actively investing right now if the deal is right for him? And that's probably, if I'm making phone calls, I may pick up the phone and say, hey, Alicia, it's Jim Biggs. I'm calling about a deal that we have in Dayton. Or I might not even say what the deal is. Hey, Alicia, this is Jim Biggs. We haven't spoke to each other in about 6 months. Wanted to follow up with you and find out, are you actively investing right now in deals, Alicia? Yes,
Yes, I am.
yes, you are. Okay. Now, this is a time, folks, where you don't want to ask open-end questions because you want to keep this short. Yes, she is. Fantastic, Alicia. I just want to ask, if we had a deal that checked every box for you and it was just a perfect deal for you, would you be ready to invest within the next 30 days?
Yes.
Okay. And can I ask what would be the amount of money that you're ready to invest in a deal right now?
$1 million.
1 million. Okay. This raise is only 300,000. Would you be interested in taking a look at the current raise that we have if it were less than that?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, Alicia, can I schedule a time so that I can get this deal information in front of you and we can follow up on it and see if it's a deal that you might be interested in?
Yes.
Fantastic. Do you have tomorrow available at 5 p.m.?
No, I do not.
Okay. What time do you have available within the next 2 days?
9 a.m.
Okay. I have that available.
Mountain Standard Time.
Oh, crap-a-roni. I forgot to ask the time zone. No, I don't. Okay. I'll send you my Calendly. But you see how quickly I'm trying to get down real fast without pressuring her and putting her in a corner. I don't really want to say, hey, I've got a deal and here's what it is. I want to give her the information first and let her answer all her questions. I don't want to get stuck answering all the questions. So I'm going to send her my pitch deck and the deal data and let her answer most of the questions. Well, where's it located? You can see that in the pitch deck. Well, how much is it? It's in the pitch deck. How much are you give to the investors? In the pitch deck.
What if the answer was, I have 5,000 to invest?
Well, it depends on this deal. And if I am taking $5,000 investments, then, I'll entertain that. But if I'm not, I might say, hey, Alicia, that's less than our minimum investment on this particular deal. Do you have more and you just didn't want to invest as much in this, you wanted to spread it out? Because, I don't want to waste your time. If our minimum is 25,000 on this particular investment. Could you, if you love the deal, could you invest 25,000? Say no.
No.
Okay. Do you have other friends or family members that might also have 5,000 that you guys could collectively invest 25,000 in this deal?
I would need to check with them.
Okay. Well, I can send you the deal information and you can look at it. If you think that you could meet that $25,000 investment minimum, then I would love to talk to you again. And I'll give you my Calendly. And if you want to follow up with me and ask additional questions or discuss how to come up with the 25,000, then we can do that. But I'm not going to have a follow-up phone call with her unless she thinks that she can raise 25,000 in the next 30 days. If she doesn't, I will gladly talk to her after the capital raise is done. And if that changes in the next 30 days for her, then it's on her to get back with me. And I'm going to make it clear to her that, hey, I'm in a capital raise for the next 30 days, so I can't talk to you unless you're investing, but I'd love to talk to you on the 31st day or anytime after.
So Jim, what about an approach of while you're speaking with people, if you have 10 people with 5,000, but they don't know each other?
So there is, this is a very touchy subject. Okay. It's a very, all the attorneys want to make this to be black and white, and they will swear on a stack of Bibles, this is black and white. But if you ask them for case law and examples, they can't give it to you. So it's not black and white. If it were black and white, you would read it in black and white on the SEC's website. But I'll give you an example of an exemption, okay? If you run an investment club, and if you don't know what that is, just Google it. But if you run an investment club, then you can pool people's money and collectively invest in an asset as the club. So that club can be organized as an LLC. It can be organized as a nonprofit. It can be organized as a C Corp or an S Corp. It can be organized a lot of different ways, but the club is investing. So then if you have 10 people with $5,000, then, and you are part of an investment club or part of an investment group, all I need to know is who is responsible. Who do I speak to from the group? Who is the lead spokesperson? Who is the person making the decision? Now, that person is not making the decision. If it's an investment club operates like a joint venture where the club looks at 2 or 3 or 4 deals, and then the club will vote on which deal they want to invest in. And then collectively, the club might say, hey, each month, we are going to, each one of us put up $1,000. And if I've got 10, 20, 30 people in the club, then we may be investing, let's say it's 30 people. Every month has to put in $1,000 for their year. So they're putting in $12,000 per year. But each month we're making a collective decision to invest 30 grand into a deal. Okay. So collectively, we're going to pick which deal we're going to invest in, but then we're going to elect or nominate one of our members to kind of be the head of the organization for this year. And that's the person that's going to go to the sponsor and say, look, hey, I'm with GOB Network Arizona. We're an investment club and we'd like to invest in your deal. So anyone that's raising capital right now, do you agree or disagree with the approach of trying to find out right now if someone in being cold and calculating, not mean, but cold and calculating about whether they have money to invest today? And if they don't, get off the phone. That's something, I mean, literally, if I know you, I could say, hey, Daniel, this is Jim. I know we haven't spoken in a few weeks, but I think we've got a deal coming up. And I don't know, do you still have money to invest? If this deal checked all your boxes and you absolutely loved it, do you have money to invest today? And if Daniel says yes, I'll keep talking to him. If he says no, I don't care if it's a 10-second phone call. I say, hey, Daniel, can I call you back next month? Or hey, Daniel, I'll follow up with you on the next deal. And I'm hanging up because I've got to raise ever how much in 30 days. And I cannot waste time talking to people that cannot or will not invest in this deal. I can talk to them all I want. I just cannot talk to them until this raise is over. And you've got to be brutally honest with yourself about, you can't afford not to raise this capital. You can't afford to lose your hard money. You can't afford to waste your time. And you're not being rude, you're being efficient. I'm not telling you that you don't ever want to speak to this person again. I'm just telling you, you don't want to speak to them now.
I think that was one of my big problems, Jim. Raising capital for, matter of fact, just raising capital. I'm gonna say that was one of my big problems. I could not just get off the phone. It was like it's like they would ask a question, then I would keep going and going. But I'm listening to everything you're saying, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, if I got to raise a lot of capital, because I know I'm going to be raising a lot of capital when I get this deal under contract that I'm working on, and it's going to be a big raise. So I need to implement that particular type of a strategy. I got to get off the phone because I got a big raise.
I think the mistake that most people make, including myself and probably including you too, Daryl, is when we're in a capital raise, we feel the pressure to raise, and we want everyone to potentially, because everyone could potentially invest in the deal, and we don't want to not give them enough information to invest in the deal. And so we keep giving them more and more information, hoping that something catches their interest. And the problem with that is you're doing it. There's nothing wrong with doing that. The problem is doing it right now, because you're in the middle of a raise. You want to do that when you're not in a raise. Okay. So asking yes or no closed-end questions and giving them, don't give them a comment that they can ask a question about. Okay. So if I ask you, you know, hey, we've got a potential deal coming up, just wanted to check in with you and see if the deal met all your criteria and you fell in love with it, would you be able to invest in that deal today? And if you go, well, where is the deal? I say, well, right now, Daryl, if the deal was in the perfect spot, would you be ready to invest in it today? I don't want to give them additional information. If I say, well, it's in Dayton, Ohio, or Dayton, Texas. Now I've got to ask another question. It's in Dayton, Ohio. Oh no, if it were Texas, I'd invest, you know, but I don't want to give them information that will allow them to keep asking questions. So I'm going to keep it very, very simple. And I'm not trying to be rude. It's just that, hey, Daryl, right now I am under the gun. The 30 days I've got to raise $2 million. So I'm happy to send you the deal criteria if you are interested or could potentially invest today. Is that you? If you loved it, could you invest today? Yes. Could you, and our minimum is 25 grand. Would you be able to invest 25 grand? Yes or no? And if it's a yes, okay, Daryl, I'll send you the information. If you like it, then we can have a follow-up phone call. And I'll give you my Calendly. If you have more questions, jump on my Calendly. But after you've looked at the deal criteria, okay, make sure it checks all your boxes. And then I'm getting all the problems. You know, just try to keep everything closed in and let them answer a lot of their own questions first, instead of you answering it for them. And you do that by putting the deal information in front of them. And they may have a lot more questions and harder questions after they look at all the deal criteria. But the easy questions, and I don't want to call them silly, but, you know, where is it located? How much is it? You know, what are the returns? Why would I invest in Dayton? You know, the easy questions are all answered in your pitch deck. Okay. And if you want, you can even send them the PPM, you know, and they may have even more questions. But you're hoping that they're going to ask the really hard questions that's going to determine if they are going to invest in the deal.
Right.
So, you know, they may want to know, okay, Daryl, you're saying it's 7% cash on cash. Can you show me specifically in the underwriting where your NOI is positive enough to pay that 7%? What month is that?
Right.
That's someone who's ready to invest. They're asking a very detailed, specific question that says, oh, we're going to have that starting in month 3. Oh, fantastic. And is there any months where the underwriting is not projecting that you'll be able to meet that cash on cash? Nope. For starting the third month, all the way out to year 5, the projection just keeps growing, and that we'll have more to distribute than the minimum cash on cash. Fantastic. Yeah, Daryl, I love the deal. Can I send you the PPM? Can I sign it and send you the money? So you want to answer very specific questions, but you don't want to do that on that first phone call, that initial phone call. And every day, if you're raising capital actively, you may have an hour a day set aside where I'm trying to keep every phone call under a minute. And if I can, that's 60 investors I can speak to. And some of those, if I keep them under 30 seconds, I may be able to reach that magic 100 mark, that I actually had 100 people pick up the phone and I spoke to them within an hour. Because that's what you're aiming for. Get to that 100 in an hour. And you can do that with enough practice and enough efficiency. You can do that, because then you can schedule for the rest of the day the follow-up phone calls. And you don't schedule them like, if you and I spoke today, our first 1-minute phone call, I'll schedule you tomorrow or 3 days from now for a longer follow-up, because I want to give you enough time to answer all of your questions and look at the PPM and look at the pitch deck. I don't want to then have a follow-up phone call later tonight and you haven't even had a chance to look at it. And if we schedule an appointment ahead of time, I'm gonna make it very clear that, Daryl, you need to have read the pitch deck and look through and already have your questions ahead of time that were not answered in the pitch deck. If you haven't had a chance to review it, then please reschedule until you have had a chance to look at it. Because I don't want to be on the phone call now. I may schedule a 10-minute phone call. And I would like to keep it at 10 minutes to cover questions that they cannot answer themselves on the pitch deck. And I don't want it to be more than 15 or 20 minutes on any of those, because now I can only do 2 or 3 per hour. But the 2 or 3 that I'm doing per hour have already said yes, they are interested and they can invest the minimum. So now I'm only speaking to people that have already committed, and now they just need a push to get over the finish line. And I may be able to talk to 10 of those a day. It depends on how much, if you're doing this full time, if you're doing it part-time, if you're doing it nights and weekends, as to how much time you actually have.
So Jim, your approach with a sophisticated investor, someone who does these deals all the time, would it be any different than the first question you asked about, have you seen this deal? Are you familiar with this investment opportunity? If they answer yes, then you would go right into.
No, I'm still, it depends on if this is the first conversation. If it's the first conversation, and even if I know them and I know they're sophisticated and I know, I have a substantial relationship, or you do, or Daryl does, then I'm still going to ask them the same way. Are they ready to invest now? If it's a new sophisticated investor that I don't know, then I'm still going to keep it very short, but I'm going to find out, do you know Alicia or Daryl? Do you have a substantial relationship? And most likely, if it's someone that has been on my calendar for a few days and they tell me in the comments, Alicia suggested that I call you, then I'm probably going to shoot you an email saying, Alicia, is this somebody that qualifies to be in the deal?
Right.
Yes or no? And if you say yes, then I don't need to, I know that they already know someone. And so then I'll just dive right into, but it depends on what I know about them.
So so let's just say it's someone that we know, right? Someone that we know, and we know that they have funds to invest. They've expressed that they've had funds to invest. How would you take the ask or the conversation from there? You've done the pleasantries.
That's fantastic, Alicia. Can I send you the information about this deal? Or I'm not going to say can I, because you can say no. Alicia, I'm going to send you the information about this deal. And I'd like to schedule a follow-up after you've had a chance to look at the deal to see if it does meet your criteria. Does that sound good?
Yes, it does, but we've already gone past that stage. So would the
Okay.
stage be more so of
So
them?
you've already looked
ask-
at the deal. This is the second phone call for questions?
Sure, yes.
Okay, all right. So Alicia, you had a chance to look at the deal? Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay. What was in the pitch deck that you found you needed a little more information about?
Well, I don't know anything about the team outside of this one individual.
Okay, fantastic. So in the pitch deck, and if they ask that question, I'm going to say, I really apologize about that, Alicia. We did a really poor job of giving you information background on the investors or on the sponsors. So as a sponsor, you should have your LinkedIn profile. If you're a big Instagram follower, is where you do all your stuff, or Facebook, you should have that in your contact information so that they can look. If you have a website that explains about you or about your company, you should have that in your contact information. Do not put them in a position where they have to say, well, I don't know the sponsors. Say, okay, now that they can still say that. And I can say, Alicia, I understand that you only know Daryl and you don't know me. Did you have a chance to look at any of my background information that I had posted in the pitch deck? I know I put my LinkedIn and our website and talked about some of the things that we've done in our experience. Did you have a chance to review that?
Yes.
Okay, I would say no, because you say you don't know me.
No, I was saying yes, because I thought you said that you did put that information
I
in.
did put it in there, but if you say you don't know me, I'm going to assume that means one of two things. You didn't read any of that stuff, or you read it and you still feel like, yeah, I read it, Jim, but I don't feel like I know you. Oh, okay, Alicia. Well, I try to be very thorough in presenting who I am. I'm an open book. So what about me would you like to know that you didn't see in my website and my social media profiles?
Right. And I guess, so I'm coming from a standpoint because I've been asked this question and I did answer it in a certain way based upon my experience with the sponsor. So what the investor said is that they just kind of want to know what type of person you are. And so they like that dialogue to have a conversation, especially if they're going to invest a large amount of money. So it's just to get to know outside of the paper, the black and white, ChatGPT is great, that type of stuff. Who really are you? Like, what do you stand for?
Yeah. So, if you're asking me that, I have to make a hard decision right now. How much time am I going to spend on this call with Alicia? Okay, I can have that conversation, but I might say, hey, Alicia, I've given my life story and everything about me 100 times on my YouTube channel. And could I instead of keeping you on the phone for an hour, could I direct you there? Would that be okay? Because I'm going to say exactly the same thing. And this way, I can get back to raising capital on this deal, because I am under a very tight deadline. And I would love to have you invest with us in this deal, but I don't want you investing with us if you're not comfortable with who I am. But if you're okay with that, I'll send you a link to an interview that I had where and I've had 15 of them. You can look at our YouTube channel and see who I am. And if after looking at one of those or two of them or three of them, if you still have questions about who I am, I'm happy to answer those and on a follow-up phone call. If that's the only thing that's holding you back from investing, if you're ready to go, except for that, then I'd love to have that follow-up phone call.
So I want to put a pause there right here because I know we're up on time. But how many of us on this call have a video such as what Jim was explaining about yourself, you speaking of yourself? Drop a 2 in the chat if you have that type of video.
Can it be from a podcast?
That's fine. We just need to snap. So we need to get that portion of the video there from that podcast and snip it and put it just as a, hey, an introduction to Daryl. You want to know more about me? Here's my Calendly to schedule some time. So there's only 1, 2. That means that how many of us are on this call? So the number that's on this call and the number that are watching live on Facebook, you have 1 week to next week to get your video together.
So going back to earlier in this conversation, if somebody asked me that question and I had already had so if any of you have had an introductory phone call with me, then you do have that video, and because I made a copy of it. So about you is in the phone call you and I had, because I told you about me and I asked you to tell me about you. And if you haven't done that, just remember those questions that I asked and put that on video. Tell your life story. This is who I am, where I was born, how I was raised, brothers and sisters, where I went to school, what mom and dad did, why I'm in, what I've done in my W-2 life, what my interests are. I'm married. I have the 3 children, that are all grown adults now, 3 boys, and why I'm interested in real estate and how I got here. Okay. And if you do that, then you have a video that you can share with people, and you can do it over and over and over again. I did that. I made last year probably 500 phone calls like that all last roughly an hour. So 500 times I told my story, and each time there's probably a little bit of difference, but 90% of it is the same. So if you can answer those questions, you can start, put it up on your YouTube. If you don't have a YouTube, start one, and if that's the only video you have there, you can send people to it.
That's phenomenal. Thank you so much, Jim, for sharing.
Yeah.
And
Sorry
that
for
right there
Yeah,
is what
absolutely.
makes the
No.
GOB the GOB, because you got that.
Exactly. Hey, Jim, let me ask you a question before we go. Not in reference to capital raising, but how do you certify a rent roll?
You're a CPA, right?
You can ask for certain things to verify it. So you can ask for the bank registers. You can ask for what is the one that I'm looking for? The age payable report. And you're looking for discrepancies in what they say they collected in rent and what the age payables show and what the bank records show. And if they don't want to give you that information, then I would ask their CPA, you don't want to share that with me. If you're sharing it with your CPA, can I get the CPA to verify your data? Okay, I call the CPA and say, look, I want you to sign in writing that this is accurate data. And if they won't, then I'll come back and say, hey, Daryl, your CPA won't verify your numbers. I don't understand why.
So don't go nowhere, Jim. Stay on. Everyone, thank you all for coming to this fantastic capital raise strategy session. I want to thank you all, and I'll see you all back here next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, and 11 o'clock Mountain Time. All right.
Yay,
All right.
Good job.
So Jim, stick around. Alicia, stick around. Marcus,
Jim.
I'll be right with you.
We go.